What's up everyone? Today I'm going to show you how to create cinematic gimbal movement with your smartphone. And I will be using the iPhone 13 Pro Max with the DJI OM5. And what I like about this gimbal is that it has a built-in extension pole allowing me to create unique gimbal shots. But you can use any other gimbal. The principles applied in this video are the same. And by the end of this video, you will be able to create basic gimbal movements that will make your shot more dynamic and cinematic. So with that said, let's get started. So this here is a ruin in Regensberg. I thought this would be an interesting place to create our gimbal moves. And it's also pretty cold out here. Currently the sun is up, but it won't stay up long, so we have to pressieren. So let's first talk about our setup right here. So I have the iPhone 13 Pro Max mounted to the DJI OM5, and you want to make sure your phone is balanced correctly. This way the gimbal won't have to use a lot of power and you can operate more smoothly. Now, if you have the DJI OM5, I actually created an in-depth video on how to use this in your video. So make sure to check it out. I will leave the link up here. So let's talk about camera settings. Now, the two video apps I like using is the native camera app and Filmic Pro. Now, DJI also has an app that you can pair it with your phone called the DJI Mimo app, but we won't be using that app since I prefer using the native camera app right now, especially for run and gun shooting. It's easier to operate with and in my opinion produces a much better image quality. Now, in terms of resolution, I will be shooting in 4K because 4K has more detail, and I will be changing the frame rate from 25 to 60 frames per second. This way I can slow the footage down and will look even smoother when slowed down. I will be using the standard video mode and I won't be shooting in ProRes because unless you're doing corporate work, I wouldn't recommend shooting in a ProRes because it just captures a lot of data and takes a long time to transfer to your computer. So usually before I start recording my videos, I tap hold on the screen to lock the white balance, autofocus, and auto exposure. This way, no changes will occur during the recording. And I usually like to drag down the exposure just a little bit by sliding with my finger down because I find the native camera tends to overexpose the image a bit. So the next thing I want to talk about is body posture, and this is really important because you want to avoid these up and down movements when it comes to operating with your gimbal. You really want to make your shot look like it's floating through the air. And to do that, the first thing you want to do is really hold the gimbal with both your hands and then slightly bend your knees and then walk forward in a constant speed, heel to toe. And this really will give you the best results when it comes to shooting videos with a gimbal. So the first gimbal move I'm going to show you is the reveal shot. And I'm actually going to extend the pole so that I have a better reach when I'm standing behind the wall and moving my gimbal upwards. And I like using the reveal shot, especially at the beginning of the video, to reveal a certain location. First thing I'm going to do is set my end position. This will be the end position. So I'm going to tap hold on the screen to lock the focus and exposure. I'm going to move downwards. And then once I'm ready, I'm going to hit the record button and slowly move upwards to reveal the location. Awesome. So the next shot will be a slide shot, and I'm going to position myself behind this wall. And you want to look for foreground because this will make your movement much more apparent. And what I'm going to do is actually just slide from left to right with my gimbal. So I'm first going to set my composition and I'm going to tap hold. I'm going to lower the exposure just a little bit and I'm going to start recording the video. And action. All right. So the next camera movement I'm going to create is a push-in shot, and I'm going to use the entrance for that because we have these two walls here that are going to create more depth in our shot and make the movement when I move forward more apparent. And what I'm also going to do while I push forward is I'm actually going to reveal the top of this ruin. So first I'm going to lock the exposure by tap holding, and then I'm going to position myself And I'm actually gonna increase the exposure just a little bit because it's quite dark. And once I'm ready, I'm gonna hit the record button and push forward and slowly tilt upwards. Coming up is the low shot, and I'm gonna invert the camera for that. This way I can get lower to the ground. And I will be using the ultra wide angle lens for that because it will just make the camera movement more apparent. And actually at the end of my camera move, I will be lifting the camera up to sort of create a fake drone shot. And I'm actually gonna invert it right now. Okay, this looks great. And I'm actually gonna tap hold to lock the focus and exposure. And I'm gonna increase the exposure just a little bit. And once I'm ready, I hit the record button and I move forward in a constant movement. And then once I get to the end, I'll create like this fake drone shot. Next is the orbit effect, and I'm gonna create a circular motion around this tree. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually look for some foreground. I think this looks great. And then I'm gonna tap hold to lock the focus and exposure. And once I'm ready, I'm actually gonna circle around the tree as good as I can. So let's go. See that? Oh yeah. Now something else I like to do is actually push through objects. And this can be a little bit tricky, but with the DJI OM5, I can actually use the extendable pole and position it like this to really smoothly push through objects. And I'm gonna use this tree for that. I'm gonna center it, and I'm actually gonna lock the exposure and focus. And once I'm ready, I'm gonna hit the record button, and I'm gonna slowly push through these tree branches and go. As good as I can. So the next thing I'm gonna create is a push out shot, and I think this perspective is really nice, also with the sun hitting the walls. And you also have these leading lines which point towards this rock. So I'm gonna position myself, and I'm gonna tap hold to lock the focus and exposure. And once I'm ready, I'm gonna hit the record button and slowly move backwards. So there's actually this underground path over here, and I think it would look great if I would create a sort of top-down moving shot. I'm gonna position myself, and then I'm just gonna create a moving Alright guys, so these were the camera movements, and this is how it would look like if I would edit the video together, adding music and sound effects. So these were some of the basic gimbal movements. I highly recommend you go out and practice those. So really search for a location that is interesting and take out your gimbal to really practice those basic movements that will, in the end, make a lot of difference and make your shots more dynamic. And once you edit your video, make sure to share it with people. And the best way to get feedback is to share it on my private smartphone filmmaking group that I created on Facebook. This way you will get feedback and continuously learn and improve your smartphone filmmaking skills. All right, guys, with that said, it's getting cold outside. I need to head back home. You guys take care, have a great day, and see you the next time.